Thank you so much, and it's such an honor to be here. I feel like I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have the job that I have, to work with such incredible people and to honor all of you. Because that's why we're here tonight. You guys keep clapping for us as we get up here, but really we're the ones should be clapping for all of you. You guys are phenomenal. Like Jeff said, as a special events coordinator for One Legacy, I get to play a small role in putting on events such as this and others in the community, where we get to thank you. And we get to meet you and see the faces of the families who are literally touching and saving lives. And that is such an incredible privilege and an honor to be at all of these events and to meet all of you. So thank you so much. Not only do I work for One Legacy, but I also have a personal connection. I am here as an employee because my journey started in a seat just like you are sitting in today. My story starts with my little brother, who is my hero. We're all here to honor our heroes tonight, right? And my story starts out with me and my brothers. I was the only girl with 3 boys growing up. So it was a rambunctious household, as you can imagine, and everything that goes along with that. My big brother, he was our mechanic. You know, you have the different people in a different family who all have their own little niche, right? So he was the one who I would always call whenever something broke and it needed fixing. He would fix my car, anything, right? Then I was next, and I was more like, you know, the goody two-shoes academic one. I was always like the teacher's pet, that type of girl, right? Then there's Jonathan. He was our computer nerd. We always joked that he got all the computer genes, because I definitely didn't get them. And he took them from all of us. We would kid around. And then there was Robbie. And Robbie was the heart of the family. This is a picture of him right here. And Robbie was such an amazing young man. He just had such a vibrant personality and such a beautiful heart. And he was the type of person that whenever you're getting into one of those family disputes, as families often do, you know, where you're arguing about something and pretty soon you don't even know what you're arguing about, but you are right. He was the one who would like tell some silly prank or do something so silly that we would all start laughing uncontrollably and forget what we were fighting about. He was that person. He was also the person that, because of him, sometimes it was like a zoo growing up, because he would adopt all of the stranded birds that broke an ankle or a wing or whatever it is that they break. And so we had the pleasure of, you know, having a zoo at home from time to time, which was phenomenal, thanks to Robbie. And one day, being the giving, caring young man that he was volunteering at my little cousin's Kinderkirk Carnival festival that they had in preschool. So at age 15, he spent the entire day making cotton candy with them and, you know, giving piggyback rides and goofing around with a bunch of 2- and 3-year-olds. Just having an amazing time. He was such a big kid. And he came home that night complaining of a headache. And we thought nothing of it because, you know, he was with preschoolers all day. Of course you may have a headache at the end of that, right? So, you know, he went to bed and didn't think anything of it. And that was the night that my life changed forever. Robbie had a brain aneurysm that night that erupted. And Robbie was rushed to the emergency room. Went into emergency surgery, and the doctors did everything that they could to save him. But he progressed to brain death. As they did the test to confirm what had happened, we found ourselves at first in denial, devastated. I was angry for a moment, very angry that this could happen to our family. Overwhelmed with the most incredible sadness I've ever felt in my life. And I found myself doubting my belief systems. This just wasn't right. This is not the plan. And at that time, we were also approached by One Legacy. about the option of donation. And we had never talked to Robbie about that prior. He was 15 years old, totally healthy, happy young kid. As far as I was concerned, he was going to live, until he was like 83. This was the farthest thing from my mind. But as we sat in the hospital and we asked a lot of questions of One Legacy, we said yes. Robbie was such an incredibly giving person, had such a beautiful spirit, and we knew that even though we didn't get his personal consent, he was that type of person. That's what he would have wanted. He would have said yes in a heartbeat. So after we said yes, we sat at his bedside 24/7 until they were ready to do the recovery. And I remember leaning over and giving him one last hug goodbye and whispering in his ear that he was my hero. And we waited in the hospital as every one of his organs were airlifted to their new homes all over California. And then we went home that evening without Robbie. We went home to a new life without Robbie, to a new reality. And I remember for the longest time, I felt guilty for smiling and for living my life if he couldn't smile and live his. Just wasn't fair, it wasn't right. And I felt angry that God had taken my baby brother. It wasn't fair. I felt sad over the first holidays and the first birthdays without him because something just wasn't right. It wasn't the same. But over time, I did learn to laugh again. I learned to live again without him. Because he lives on in my memories and in my heart. He's always with me. I can always go outside and look up at the moon and the stars. And I found ways to keep his memory alive in my own way, in ways that were meaningful for me. And it started out with me becoming a volunteer for One Legacy and honoring him in that way. Then I did a walk in his honor, and I even trained for a marathon. It was the longest 26.2 miles of my life, but I did it. And it took me a really long time. I won't tell you my time. And then I did a triathlon for him a few years later. That took me even longer. But that's okay. It made me feel good, and that's what matters, right? And that's so important, is to find things that are appropriate for you and to keep them memorialized for you. And every year we participate in a new tradition of honoring my brother with a rose on the float, which is why we're all here today. And after the donation occurred, we received a letter from One Legacy, and that letter told us some of the outcome of what had happened. And we were so comforted to know that he was living on, because in these tragic situations, it's not often that you get some sort of silver lining, something to hold on to know that some good came out of this tragedy. And we were able to see the ripple effects of the sadness that we were feeling and the possible joys that were coming out of the sadness, and such a contrast of emotions. And every day, all over the world, people experience losses. You all know that too well. And unfortunately, 2 years afterwards, my big brother Michael was killed in a car accident. And this came as a huge shock, as you can imagine. And at that time, I had already pursued a career with One Legacy. Of course, because of Robbie, and all of our friends and family had already consented to be organ and tissue donors. We had had the conversation, although we hadn't prior had those pink dots on our driver's license. But for reasons out of our control, Michael wasn't able to be a donor. We weren't able to have that silver lining in that death. But Michael was a donor. He had said yes to organ and tissue donation. We had talked about it, and that was the intent. And no matter what, we honor both of them in the same way. Now I dedicate a rose in honor of both of my brothers, because that's what it's all about. It's about saying yes, and saying yes to saving lives and to that opportunity that you have to touch other people, strangers that you don't even know. And through my experiences of loss, I can tell you that grief is an unpredictable roller coaster with many ups and downs. And Michelle actually mentions a quote that I love so much, that closure is for bank accounts, not love accounts. And that is so true. My love accounts are flowing over for these boys that are no longer here. Because the love that you share with your loved one is forever, whether they're here or not. And with both of my brothers, the grief process is also different. Comfort to know that Robbie is living on, whereas they don't have that for Michael. It's such a rare and true honor to have the opportunity to donate your organs, because after that, you become part of this community. And I know it's not a community that you want to be a part of. Trust me, I know. But you can find fellowship with the other people in this room, and I encourage you guys to talk to each other, because you all share something in common, and maybe we can help each other get through the days sometimes. And with my brothers now, I honor them both in the same ways. Whether it's carrying a picture in your wallet of them, or it's running a marathon, you don't need to do that. But whatever it is for you, I encourage you to find a way to keep their memory alive for yourself in a way that feels appropriate for you. And going back to the rose that we're going to be dedicating with you tonight, every year we have a rose parade. Right, and there's a float in the Rose Parade in honor of Donate Life. And this all started 10 years ago when a recipient by the name of Gary Foxon wrote us a letter. And he was so touched by families such as yourself who have given so much and gave him a second chance at life, that he wanted to honor and celebrate that through having a float and having something on a national level that honored all of your gifts. So every year we have a float committee that comes together, and we try and decide what we're going to do that can honor that, because how do you put into words the gift that you've given, right? And this year, as we found out that our float was Dr. Seuss's "Oh, the Places You Will Go," as you'll remember from your childhood, you probably read that book, and were touched by that story. We try and come up with something that we can tie to that theme that has to do with organ donation, but still honors the meaning of the float. And as we're sitting on these calls, and I hear the theme, I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. Oh, the places we have been. Because, man, we have had ups and downs in this community. That's something that we really connect to. And that's something that I really connect to as a donor sister with the roller coaster, is that we experience in this community in particular, the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and everywhere in between. And I know that many of you may share the same sentiments as me, where you are having, a good day and you think that you can get through it, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I can do this, I can go to work again, I can get through the day without crying. You feel inspired, and you walk out the door empowered, and then you get in the car and then you hear that song that reminds you of them, right? And all of a sudden you're a mess. You've gone straight back down to the bottoms of the bottoms. And then there's other days when you just want to sit in bed all day long and just cry, because there's nowhere else that you can imagine being. You just do not have the strength to get out of bed. I know. I spent a couple days there. And as we were thinking about that and the contrast of these highs and these lows and these emotional roller coasters that we've all gone on, and then the other half of the community, there's recipients who have these times of tragic need when they think that literally they're not going to make it another day. And then they get this incredible call, this gift that somebody has said yes to donation and is going to save their lives. I can't even imagine going from both of those extremes of emotions and what they're feeling. And so as we look at the stories of our journeys, it's really these journeys of a heart. We all say the shame heart with many, many ups and downs. And so that's what we decided to theme our float this year, is Journeys of the Heart. And here we have, which symbolic to me is this roller coaster. When I look at this image, it's very abstract, and everybody can take a different meaning out of it for them. But for me, what this means is the highest of the highs, and then the lowest of the lows.
And how, okay, this is not working. And how even though there's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, they're all interconnected. And we're all a family together, the recipients and the donor families. We're all connected through this incredible cause. And we're here to support each other and honor each other. And there's different components to the float. It's designed after Dr. Seuss, the same theme. We have float riders and then floor rafts, and in the front is my favorite part. This is the one part that everyone can be a part of, and that you can be a part of year after year, and the part that I'm a part of year after year, which is the dedication garden. This dedication garden in the very front of the float has thousands of dedicated roses from all over the world, families just like yourself with their dedications of hope, love, and remembrance to your loved ones. And so that's why we're here tonight, is to help you become a part of our family in the float this year and honor your loved ones so that we can be a part of this together. So in a few moments, we're going to invite you to come forward, and you're going to receive 4 things. You'll receive a certificate, a card, and then also 2 vials. You're going to get an empty vial right here. And this is the actual vial that is going to go on the float. So you're going to have an opportunity to write a personalized dedication, whatever you'd like. It can be a quote, a picture, a message to them, whatever feels right to you. And you can write the same message on this duplicate vial, which you can take home as a memento of this evening, as a souvenir. And then we have a pen station over here on the side, where there's fine point Sharpies, because we don't want your message to rub off. So we have permanent Sharpies over here on this table. So at the end of the evening, we welcome you to take your rose vials over here and write whatever dedication feels appropriate to you to celebrate and honor your loved ones and be part of our Donate Life family. We also, so after we're done with that, and the ceremony is over, I know you've seen some people shooting pictures. We have our photographer here this evening who is going to be taking pictures. If you'd like to, at the end of the ceremony, if you wanted to come back, we can take your picture with the float rendering or any of these things here, and then we're going to put them on our website so that you can download them if you'd like to. And we have cards with a URL where you can go online to download those pictures if you want to. It's just a service that we offer. So I'm sorry about the microphone. It's working again. But again, from the very bottom of my heart, it is such an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for your gift.